Birth trauma, why it's so much different than what we think of. Birth trauma happens during the labor and delivery process. It's mostly physical in nature and leads to lifelong health and neurological problems. In our opinion, birth trauma is one of the most overlooked causative factors in the rise in chronic illness today in our kiddos. Birth trauma can be caused by various forms of intervention, things like induction, forceps delivery, vacuum extraction, extremely slow, fast deliveries, cord wrap, and the last one, I should probably do a video on this one all by itself, C-section. So, what does birth trauma look like in our kiddos? So what we're really talking about here is damage to the upper cervical spine, right? Areas like the brainstem, the cerebellum, the vagus nerve. Yeah, we're going there again. The vagus nerve is one of the most common injuries to the upper cervical spine simply because of location. So what does birth trauma look like in our kiddos? Well, let's get into it now. So what we're really talking about here is things like difficulty latching, nursing, feeding, difficulty with head rotation, preferring one side versus the other. This is really going into that basis of gross motor development, and you cannot develop neurologically if we're having gross motor delays or dysfunction. From there, we're looking at things like sleep disorders, disturbances, extreme colic, reflux, constipation, plagiocephaly, torticollis, shoulder dystocia. From there, looking at things like CP, cerebral palsy, social, motor, emotional disorders, the kick the sick kiddo, the kiddo that's constantly sick, recurring battling ear infections, the kiddo with constant upper respiratory stuff going on, and then we get on to the last thing, the neurodevelopmental disorders, okay? Things like ASD, ADD, ADHD, right? Constant sensory overload. Parents, if your kiddos are dealing with any of these things, I challenge you to work backwards through everything I just talked about. And I bet a lot of you guys are gonna be shocked at how many of these boxes that you're gonna check. So what's the next step? Well, parents, find a pediatric trained chiropractor, okay? There is hope for this. There is something you can do to get your kiddo unstuck and to the other side of this.